Um, we have been discussing that MapReduce and HDFS are the core foundations in the Hadoop, and we have seen Hive. It's more look like a SQL kind of paradigm. You know, you access a file through Hive like a SQL database, right? Just you need to understand the file structure, create a table on top of the file, and everything is ready. You can parse the file, you can process the file, many things you can do. But there are instances where you have to go for a data flow kind of semantics. For example, even in the known area like the database world, when do you go for a stored procedure writing? That is
For repetitive work or
yeah. So stored procedure basically they give a procedure kind of look and feel. So when you need to do multiple stages of processing under a single transaction, right? Then that you can't accomplish in a single query. The querying basically in a one shot, you would like to join it, you would like to union it, you would like to put aggregations in that, but it can't be very efficient. Say, let us process one, let us do a step one, take the output from the step one, and split the step one to multiple steps, do a furthermore processing on it, and have some temporary space there, join with the temporary space, call external things, many things you can do. So this is called data flow semantics. So typically a stored procedure can be called as a data flow procedure. That the name stored procedure being given to database given database is that we are actually registering the SP in the database to some syntax. So our written code would have been registered with the database. That is the reason it is being called a stored procedure. So that is the SP level of aspect. But in the Hadoop world also, you need to have a different framework that needs to tackle the data flow issues. So when do you need the data flow issues? Just look at the pig and so even if you are going for a file-based processing in Hadoop, definitely there will be a lot of such demand about, open up a file, read something about it, transform the data like that. Let us say you have one format there, ABCD, then you want to convert into XYZ format, transformations. That is one of the key area where pig being used. So if you would like to segregate the tools in the Hadoop, this is the aspect you would like to see, ETL thing. It's a pretty common word you will be hearing in the industry. So Hive and Pig are the primary constituents in the ETL world for the Hadoop. So I'm getting a lot of hissing noise here. Can someone mute their microphone if they're not talking? Sharada or Raj, could you mute your microphones?
I'm already mute only.
Okay. Very lot of hissing noise. Hey Rajiv, you joined. Okay. Hey Rajiv,
It's there actually from starting.
Oh, it is from my side. Let me mute myself.
Yeah, it's coming from starting only. Even I am hearing that. Some scratching type sound. When you are talking, maybe the speaker is coming like that.
Okay. Let me check. I'll mute myself and see if it's gone or not. No improvement. Okay.
No. When you mute it, we didn't get the sound. Yeah, we are not getting the sound.
But I'm getting it in either case.
Okay.
I'm continuously getting hissing sound. Okay. Okay.
Do you want to disconnect and then connect back?
I don't think. How about now? Are you getting this sound?
Yeah, there is no. Yes, he's also getting. Raja is also getting.
Oh, no, some technical issue in the meeting itself, I think. So are you comfortable or you want to reconnect the meeting? Shall I go ahead?
Sure.
You don't have annoying thing, right? Shall I go ahead?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Coming
Okay.
background music.
Okay. So, Rajiv, one question. Did you get a chance to work on the samples?
Actually, I did not know.
Oh, okay. So my request is that in the weekend, coming weekend, you please, all of you, please work on the samples, the high event peak. Because this is from the beginning I'm telling you, these two are the essential things. You should acquire it. These skills you should acquire it. If you want to pursue the Hadoop-based career or you want to enrich your career in the Hadoop. Rest of all, I would leave up to your choice. But you must be hands-on with Pig and Hive. So if you're not getting time in the weekdays, please spare time on the weekends and work on these samples. So I would like to dedicate 2 classes to really go through the questions and any clarifications you would like to have. In fact, today I was expecting that I would want to spend on any questions you would have on these samples. Okay, let us move on now. So let us not waste time on this part. So next week, the next first 2 classes, I would like to spend time on any questions you have on the samples, any clarifications you need. Those things I'll spend on it. So make utilize of the time. So once we cross this area, you will not again difficult to me to come back to Pig and Hive and redo everything. Okay. So in the flow we will be continuing with the Scoop and other ecosystem components. That is the thing I would that is the thing I want to emphasize here. Okay. So now let us move on to the Pig. You can do some hands-on on the weekend. All right. Don't know why some sound is coming. Okay. Am I audible to you all? Okay. Okay, let us move on to the pig. So pig essentially it is the evolution came from the need to have a data flow semantics. So let me go back to the history, just quickly touch upon when this was originated. If you look at the Hadoop intro, so during this timeline when Hive was evolved, because people wanted to have a SQL kind of accessing on the Hadoop HDFS files. Similarly, Yahoo was the one, they had a very terrific cluster with them. You know, they were, in that time, 2008 time, they had 9-10 node cluster. That was the biggest world record they had in that time. And because of their efforts, Hadoop became more popular. But the need they felt is that they would like to have a scripting model so that they could do much of the data flow activities in one script-based activity, and then they were feeling that Hive was not efficient in data flow aspects of it. It is good at retrieving data in single go. If you know the query part, you can retrieve it quickly. But when you need a multiple stages of processing, that's called data flow semantics, Hive was not so efficient. and I was not capable at all, not efficient, not capable at all. So in that pursuit, Yahoo was the one, they engineered this pig and made it as a data flow programming model. So it is their contribution to the Hadoop world. Hive was the contribution from the Facebook. Okay, right. So let us look at the pig and the high level things.
Madhu, they
And
will
again,
ask this when it is introduced, all these questions in the interview also?
no, I just want to give a clarity to you.
Okay, that's it. No.
Some background, if you have it, then it will be clear why there need to have pig and hive.
Okay.
So each one has a purpose. So that is the reason.
Okay.
So if you are there in Unix world for a long time, you would realize that shell scripting is quite famous and quite powerful till date. No other mechanism could able to replace shell scripting because that is so efficient at dealing with the files.
Okay.
Whereas if you come to pig is also like that. No matter how many frameworks are coming in the Hadoop framework, pig is like a indisposable framework in the Hadoop ecosystem. Pig and hive both.
Okay.
So that is the power of the pig. Means power and the necessity of the such a framework. Right.
Okay.
Right. So yeah, needless to mention, pig again it's not independent thing, just like hive. Just like hive, pig is not an independent thing. It relies on the either HDFS or just like hive application. And hive client is not enough. Compared with the other devices, compared with
Madhu, we are not able to hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you, Madhu.
We can't hear, Madhu. We'll join again. It's a good thing we'll join again, everybody. I think he is not able to hear also.
Yeah.
very same word, but again, that's
Yeah,
how the
but
name.
we are not able to hear properly. We'll join. Everybody will join again.
Okay.
Okay. We are disconnecting now.
Okay. Okay. Are you all there? Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Thank you. So, is it clear now?
Sound is coming when you are telling all these things. We are not able to. All the words are splitting. We are not able to hear.
Okay. So, do one thing. Let me also rejoin. So, it's okay now? Okay. I thought something gone wrong. Okay. So, let us move on. So if you look at the stack of the pig shell is called grunt. This is the one you would be using it, and underneath the framework and the programming language for the pig is called pig Latin. And there is a execution engine, pig execution engine, and it works in combination of MapReduce and HDFS.
Is this the ETL piece?
Yeah, ETL thing. Pig is predominantly for the ETL.
Yeah,
Whereas
but I'm talking about the engine. Is this the engine? Is that the
Oh no. Engine is it's a generic engine. It's not ETL thing. This is not a ETL thing. The whole setup actually, if you look at it, this comes under ETL aspect of the Hadoop.
Okay.
The whole thing, if you look at it. So Hive predominantly for the data warehousing thing. Basically what you query it, you aggregate data, those things. You ingest data and then query it like that. That is for the Hive. Pig predominantly for the extraction part and then loading and transformations part. So many of the times what you see, Pig is like a continuation after the Hive activity is done. What I mean to say, when you create a file, dump a big file in the Hadoop, first thing one would do is that they write some Hive queries to look at the data, look at the conditions of the data. Once that is done, then they use Pig to work on the Hive tables. Pig has an integration with Hive. Pig has integration with many other tools. Pig is like a omnipresent everywhere in the Hive, in the Hadoop cluster. So it can connect to many of the ecosystem components interactively. Through programmatically it can do it. So that is the versatility of the Pig. It is a much versatile framework compared to any other in the Hadoop system. So what is going to happen is that you would be interacting with the shell. So underneath that, this is the programming language. We will be using it all the time, Pig Latin. And Pig has a dedicated engine, execution engine. And there is no server at all, please remember that. Unlike in Hive you have seen Metastore server. That is, that its responsibility is to maintain the metadata of the tables of the database. Pig doesn't have that setup here. It's all client based. You have a client, means in your terminal, everything would be there. The shell, the programming syntax, parsing, and the execution engine. Everything would be there in your client. Of course, there is a corresponding component in the cluster as well, but it's all client-based paradigm, similar to any shell scripting-based activity. Right. All right, let us move on. So this is the logo for the Pig. So what we can accomplish in the Pig, because I'm not discussing the stack part of it, because there's not much stack in the Pig. It's all that you need to understand the programming model. That's it. It's not so complicated compared to Hive in terms of the way it's being stored. In Pig, there's no concept of storing the schema at all. It's all dynamic. On the fly, you have to narrate the description, and rest of things will be taken care. You can't even store the descriptions or the schemas or the files. Nothing you can do at the end of the Pig person. Right. So the first thing you see, the schema is read only. There is no Metastore here. And fundamentally, Pig is for the processing control, data flow semantics. What do you mean by data flow control? Typically, what do you visualize from data flow? If someone is asking you about data flow, you imagine things like this, right? First step is 1, second step is like this. There's a decision making point here. And third thing, you would do some processing here, and finally this would go to the one more decision point here. If yes, if no, this is the data flow, right? Typically diagrams you write it in the computer science classes or in the architecture thing, and someone would ask you to write a data flow diagram. This is what you do. Similarly in the Pig as well, same thing you're going to do. You open up a file, read some lines here, and then you join the lines with some other things here, make a decision call here whether to proceed in direction A and direction B like that. In direction B, you do some more processing here and one more decision point come up here. Those things you can accomplish in similar fashion. So that is the reason it is being called as data flow semantic, right? And again, as we discussed it, Pig again works on top of MapReduce model. Pig has all the control to control the MapReduce invocations part. You don't do the MapReduce invocations. Pig takes care of it internally, but you can say how many mappers you need, how many reducers you need, what kind of priority you need when you're writing a Pig script. Those controls you can configure it in the Pig scripting. And the integrations. I'll describe it as a separate topic I have. Once we cover the HBase, I have another separate discussion on the integrations part. Pig is a omnipresent framework in the Hadoop. It has integration with much of the ecosystem components in the Hadoop. Like it can connect to Hive, it can connect to HBase, it can connect to the tools like Spark, it can connect to tools like I'll show that there is a different topic is there. Let us not go deep into that integrations part now. And file formats, pretty much yesterday we have seen from the Hive, right? It can pass the text files, JSON files, Avro files, the sequence files. Not only that, Pig is capable of handling some sort of non-structured data as well. Whereas Hive is not like that. Hive expects data would be in a known format. Pig is not like that. Pig is capable of dealing with a semi-structured data as well. Might not be good at dealing with unstructured data, but Pig is good at semi-structured data sources. And just like in Hive, what we have seen, UDFs, user-defined functions, right? Pig has all the extensibility. You can extend the Pig capability, write the code in Java or Python, and integrate with the jar file or the Py script in the Pig. You can have the extensibility in the Pig. And Pig does the execution plan, just like what this familiar term you hear in the Oracle or MySQL. Before running query, the query engine determines what should be the execution plan. That says that how many tables involved, how many indexes are involved, is it a table seek or table scan? Those are the execution plan parameters, right? Similarly, in the Pig, it determines that how many mappers I need, how many reducers I need, what are the files I need to process. Is it a text file? Is it a sequence file? Is it an Avro file? Those execution plan, it will be maintaining it during the whole scripting process. And again, data splitting. We can do the processing in parallel. It splits up the data sets in parallel and can work on it. I'll show that part as well. So this is the high-level topics in the Pig world. Let us look at one by one. Okay. So let us look at what needs to have the first Pig script. So before I move on, I just want to pause it here. Any questions, any clarifications you need? Okay.
Madhu, just now you told that in processing control you brought some floating of the data.
Mm-hmm.
Is that have a steps like filtering or anything, or like is there anything?
Yeah, it has. So this the structure I've showed you,
How the data will flow?
Oh, that you mean to say data? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know the basic things, that's why I'm asking.
Okay. So typically what happens is that data flow you will come to know. That's not you don't have to worry about data flow. you have to worry about the steps you need to create. So this is the diagram I've given. I had drawn here earlier. This diagram is called a data flow or workflow diagram. This is pretty common diagram in the computer science, right? So basically, this diagram can illustrate that how many steps are there in the processing, and what kind of steps. Is it a decision making step? Is it a processing? Is it a filtration? Those you narrate it together, and there is a one continuous line will be connecting all these boxes one after other. That shows that this is the path of execution. Like that.
Okay.
At the end, you would have either a file or dump into a database, something like that, or display into a screen. So that is the pictorial depiction of processing steps. Similarly, in the page, you would have these kind of facilities. You could have decision-making areas, you could have filtering areas, you could have processing areas. And finally, you could able to dump into a file, or you could dump into a console, or wherever is comfortable, wherever needed.
Okay, you are going to you are going to tell all those processing or just overview?
Yeah, I'll touch upon that part. That is the core thing. Rest of all might be kind of theory part to you. This is what we're going to discuss it.
Okay.
These are all theory part to you, right?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, the first pig script. What are the essential things to write a pig script? So the one we just discussed it. Pig, everything in the pig world, everything it expects all the input files to be in the cluster. So whereas in Hive you can even get on with the local files, but for the pig case, everything should be in the cluster. And you describe the pig commands here. So pig determines the execution plan, and then it goes into the Hadoop. But there are instances you could even take local JVM help. Let us not discuss these parts. There are for theoretical sake, I just mentioned it. But fundamentally, the pig script is going to distribute its work. The one we discussed, data set splitting. Pig takes care of data set splitting and distributes its activity across the cluster here. Yeah. So let us look at the constituents of the pig here. So what are the high level things? So first building block is data type. So what data types are there in the pig? So in the Hive we have seen, Hive supports all the native types like string, integers, floats. Apart from it, we've also seen maps, structure, arrays, right? Similarly, in the pig also, it supports maps, it supports tuples, it supports bag, it supports nulls as well. And one difference from Hive and pig is that in the Hive there is a data type called string to deal with the characters, but in pig it's called char array. There is no string data type in the pig. It is a character array. So that means everything is a binary array in the pig. Unlike in Hive, everything is a string based activity, whereas pig everything is a character based activity, character array based activity. And second building block in the pig is that in each of the pig processing step, you get an output as a data set here. This is the output you would be doing it. So once you get data set is pretty common word in the traditional programming world. Data set or a collection or data, what are the term used? Data set, collection. The output So typically, when you write a Oracle query or MySQL query, what you get from when you run a cell query, what you get from the cell query, you get rows and columns, right? So that is called data set here. Data set nothing but rows and columns. Each time in the processing steps, you get data sets here. And this data, let us say you have you opened a file, you did some processing. The output from the first step is data set here, rows and columns. This becomes the input for the next processing step here. You will do some more processing here, and you will get one more data set here. And this becomes the input for the next subsequent step. Finally, you will have a enriched data set which you would like to have. This thing, so then you would write into a file or you would write into a database, and whichever way you would like to do. But in every step of the pig, the output is a data set and also input would be a data set, right? And pig supports data set joins. Let us say you have multiple steps here. Step 1 produced a data set here. Step 2 produced data set here. So in the third step, you could take these 1 and 2 and join together and do some more processing here. So not just 1 and 2, you can have multiple joins. Pig supports almost 250 joins in a single activity, right? So that is about the dataset joins. Now, coming to the data control statements, pig supports for each loops. It supports plain joins. Apart from the dataset joins, it supports grouping, filtering, sorting, union, and co-grouping. I'll touch upon these parts. These are all the building blocks of the programming, pig programming. Yeah. Let us look at Hello World in the pig scripting. Then
these all can be done in a Hive also, Madhu. Like aggregation, filtering, union, all this can be done in as well as in Hive also.
No, to some extent you can accomplish that. So okay. The reason the differentiation between pig and Hive, then if you want to really get the differentiation, you have to go back to the database world. What you could do, what you cannot do in query, what you could do in stored procedure. Can you differentiate that? Why?
I didn't get Madhu.
Why you need a stored procedure in the databases?
Yeah, to like scripting and executing in scheduling the timing and executing the loading everything. Like
that you can accomplish in query as well, right? Why you need it? If scheduling is the only objective, that
for repeating tasks.
Exactly, repeating tasks, and there are areas. Then there are areas where you can't do it in a single step. You have to first query data, put them in temporary space, do some more filtering on it, get the refined data set from the temporary space. That you will be joining with another query. Those kind of things that you cannot accomplish in a single query. You have to do the whole operation in a phased manner. Phase 1, get data, put that in a temporary table. Phase 2, refine the temporary table. Phase 3, join the temporary table with other tables, right? Regular tables. If that is the task you are trying to achieve, you can't achieve through a simple query. Similarly, that is same analogy applies to the pig as well. When you want to load multiple files and you want to do filtering on the multiple files and you want to enrich these data, put them in temporary space, load from the temporary space, and then finally have a required output. If that is you are tackling things in a phased manner with multiple data sources, that you can't accomplish in a single Hive query. You have to split your logic into multiple stages. That's when pig-Latin comes into picture, right? So look at these statements here. You are in this diagram, what you are showing is that you are loading two files here. The first file has columns called XYZ. The second file called columns has TUV. So once you load in this part, we are filtering this XYZ here. So now we have filtered dataset at this time. Now with the filtered dataset from the file 1 and from the raw file from the file 2, we are joining here. Now we have columns XYZ TUV. Now we are grouping the content based on key value. The key, you can accomplish it. You can define the key. That grouping, you are achieving it. Now you have a different data set now. And then on the group, you are counting it. You have different data set here. And finally, you are storing it.
So this is like a stored procedure, but in Pig Latin, right?
Exactly. That is the same analogy you can carry on. This is the stored procedure style of doing in the Hadoop.
Okay.
So let us look at a simple use case here. So we have what the syntax look like. So as we discussed it in Pig Latin, everything is data set here. The first thing, load statement and the path. File 1 is a path. If you have a different path, you have to mention the full path here. File path, as you have to mention the column names here, XYZ. Pig doesn't know the file. So you have to tell the Pig that XYZ are the columns for the file. If you don't mention the file columns here, Pig assumes that the columns are like column 1, column 2, like that. Pig actually go by notation called $0, $1, like that. It puts $1, $2, $3 on each of the column names. This is very hard to understand in the coding. So always recommended to have a decent column names here. So once you define the structure on the inline in the coding, so now you have a data set A from the file 1. You have data set B from file 2. So what you are doing now, we are filtering data set A, where you say y should be greater than 0. Now you got a defined filtered data set now. Now that we are joining with data set B, join C by X with B by U. So we are joining column X from C, we are joining column U from B. This is just to make you some theoretical understanding. I don't know, it's we can't at this point say both are same or not, but just to have theoretical understanding, I'm just narrating the story. So now after having this column join, so and the expectation is that in the D data set you'll have full-blown columns XYZ TUV. Now here we are grouping the joined data set by Z column. So now we have group data set here. So on the group data set, we are now doing a counting there. Count E. E is a kind of a dynamic language in semantics here. Count E. Count is for each E means E is alias for that the data set here. For each E, generate group and count D. We are saying that. So this operation will give you a new data set where you have a key means a Z column and a count 10 or 20 like that. This is the output you're going to get, Z1, Z2, Z3 like that. This is the final output you're going to get. So that's what you want to have it in your final output. So maybe this this scripting basically trying to achieve how many records there in each of the Z-based category, something like that. If that is the case, then this is the scripting for that thing. And finally, once you are done with all our data flow steps, activities, we are storing the output into output file here. Store is the command, store F. F is the our refined data set here. Then into output. If you want to have different output path, you have to mention the different output path. And default Pig knows only the tab delimited files. So if you want to have them in a different format like comma separated files or Avro files, something like that, you have to mention the format as well. I'll touch upon those parts. But this is the high level this coding style in the Pig, right? Everything you're dealing with data set. Each operation would give you data set. You will be taking the data set to the next level, doing some processing, finally dumping it here.
So the code we'll write is queries only, right?
Queries wise, no. Did you see any query here?
Because count and group by all that, right? I mean join.
Yeah, count is there, but do you see any? Unlike in, see, let me take you to the Hive. Then you'll have a comparison side by side. So in Hive, what you typically do, let's say if you want to count it, you have to write select statement, right? From table. So this you would be doing it. So the columns, and sometimes if you want to filter it, select star from table where y should be greater than 0. If this is the first statement you would like to do it. So what does star means? You would like to have all the columns from the table here, right? So then you have to capture that this is the full-blown ANSI SQL 92 compliance query language, SQL 92. That is the language out there. If you're I hope you are familiar with this these standards. So all the database vendors, be Oracle, Microsoft, MySQL, anybody, if they are releasing RDBMS product, they have to compliance with the SQL 92 standards, these industry standards. So the language you see here, these are all the standard pattern from the SQL 92 model. Okay, SQL 92 standards, right? But whereas in Pig, what you are saying, you're saying that A equal to load the file 1 as you're saying X, Y, Z.
That's the columns, right?
Yeah, columns. Columns are also some dynamic columns. I can say ABC, doesn't matter. So you are giving your own convention to the column names. There is no such thing like. Whereas in Hive, table is already there. You define the table. You have created the schema for it. So always you have to go by the column names. So if you say, you have to say X, comma, Y, comma, Z. So here you could say, if your programming needs a different convention, different pattern, let us say column always C1, C2, then C3, then you will go with your own thing on the fly. You don't have to create a separate schema for it. Whereas in the Hive world, if you want to do like that, you have to drop the table, recreate the columns like that. So you are right that you are trying to query data, but the querying data is dynamic. It's not in the Hive. You see some level of staticness here because you define a table schema. Once you fix the table schema, you adhere to the table schema. If you want to change in the table schema, again you have to drop the table and recreate it. But whereas in the Pig, because we are talking about a scripting language, everything is dynamic here, right? Just you need to locate the file, where the file is, that temp something xyz, some location. Once you locate the file, it is up to you to define the columns there, right? Even you can completely ignore this part as well. If you ignore the part, Pig will assign $1, $2, $3 for each of the columns. That you can't easily manage it if you have a big table, big file, right? Like that. So that is what you're doing it. Second thing, what you're doing here, you're saying that in step C, in dataset C, you are saying filter A by y is greater than 0. That step you're saying it. So here what you're doing, you're not trying to look at these two statements here. This is the high way of doing it. You are trying to query data. But in Pig, if you write a statement like that, it is not that you're going to get data into C directly. It's a lazy loading. Whereas in Hive, the moment you write a query, execute that in the Hive CLI, you will get data.
Okay.
Whereas in Pig, you don't get data as and when the statement is encountered. When you encounter data, when you get data, only when you say store the final thing, store D into the file, output file. Only when Pig encounters this final statement, that time only it executes all the steps one after other. Till the time it looks at the syntax stability, the syntax correctness, and look at the flow statements only. So Pig way of doing is lazy loading here, whereas Hive is a instant loading, instant execution. The moment you hit the write a query, hit enter, everything is there. And in Pig, every step you're getting a data set here, right? A, B, C like that. Finally, you might get it your desired data set, and that time you dump it to the console. But nevertheless, to mention, you are querying data, but you're querying data in a different way. You have a intermediate step everywhere. One temporary data set you have everywhere. This is a lazy loading activity. It is not dynamic. It is not on the spot. Until you hit the store command, none of the steps will be executed here. Right? So, any questions on this?
Okay.
Hello world. Okay. Okay. So let us look at the Pig scripting here. So the same file, the employee file, what we have been seeing, the simple employee file, how we can do that in the Pig. Is it console is up? Okay. So let me take you to the Pig scripting part. I have a Pig script hands-on with you, sample one. The same thing, I have another thing, Pig airport also. See, my idea is to in the first level, you try to do with the basic thing, simple data set, just to familiarize the syntax. Once you are acquainted with the basic syntax, then go to the next level of doing things, the airport thing. So my idea is to, on the same data set, you can work on Hive, you can work on Pig, and you get different flavor of processing capability here. Hive is mostly you querying it, Pig is meant for more of processing part of it. So that way you get clear understanding between distinguishing, you can clearly distinguish the Pig and Hive, where to use what. That is the crux of all this Hadoop training. The moment you get a clear understanding about Pig and Hive capabilities, rest of things will be breeze to you. So that is the reason I'm emphasizing on working on the same data sets in both the cases, and you should do the hands-on on your own. Right? Let us take the Pig basics now. So what I have, again the same file, you have been seeing it, simple file, and I have created another file in the same pattern, the same comma separated, just to make things simpler. So these files, what I'm going to do is that I'll be putting into the Hadoop cluster. So the same thing what you have seen now. I'm loading the file here, and then I'm doing some processing. Finally, I'm storing into some output there, right? So let us look at some theory part, and then finally we'll come back to the. Let me complete if anything missing there. Same thing I'm mentioning it. I'll run through the samples. Yeah. Okay. Let us not move into advanced part. We'll do it later. Let us run some samples. Okay, so how do you start pig? That's it. Then you enter into the pig grunt. That's called pig shell. Alright, so now you are into pig. Let me open another instance here and then log in. I think I need to copy these files, these tiny files. I need to copy to where user, not mapper, user practice pig env. This path I use. This is the Hadoop path. Hadoop path should be my home. What is the path I used in the Hive basics? Local user practice. Okay. Okay, this is the one I'm using it. Hive. So let us use a different path for the. So remove the Hive and put pig path here. I'll be sharing with you. Pig and emp. This path you have to create. I'm not giving all the command steps here. How to create the path. If you want to create path, you have to write these statements here to create the path, right? I'll leave up to you. I think you are now acquainted with the writing these simple commands. I'm not repeating the same things now. So local path would be Hive training, home training, emp. Let us have the local path like this. So for what you need is that you need to open the WinSCP. I have to copy from Windows 7 to the VM because VM is a very fresh one. I don't have any data in that. Are you all following with me what I'm doing now?
Yeah.
Home practice. Let me create a
Yes, Madhu.
pig samples. So let us have this path. Copy to clipboard. So local path would be this is the one, and the Hadoop path is this is the one. Let us not. Okay. And then before I do, I need to copy the files over there. Okay. So I need to copy the commands to the from local path. Okay. And then I should be copying it to the different path there. Exactly. Now I have my path ready. So what I will be doing is that I have pig samples here. So I just need to copy the files. So where are my files? So files will be there in datasets, samples. Yeah, I have two files here. You could simply create the files. I just mentioned just copy the whole thing, create a text file, CSV file. So this one I am mentioning now. I'll be copying these files. Yeah, already there. So in the pig samples, I just need to drag them. I have two sets of files now. It is there into my Linux local. What I have to do now, I have to copy the files to the location. So I don't think this path is existing in the the Hadoop. So what I have to do? Hadoop fs minus mkdir, create the path there, and then you have to create one more path. The EMP also might not be existing there, so this path you have to create it. So you have to run the path and create it in the terminal. Create the path. Second one, I have to create this path as well. Yeah, second path. Create that. So now you have the path there. Now all that you need is that run these things, copy the files. Simply you can copy it by wild characters also you can do. The way is that you have to put star.csv, everything will be copied. But just to want to give clarity, I'm just copying it. Either way, whichever way you choose, you can do. So I'm copying the local Linux local files to the Hadoop HDFS. That is done. Second one, I'm copying the second file. Right. So now I have the paths. Right. So now let us go back to scripting part. So what path I have to take? In the path, I have to mention that the first file I will be loading from this path. Second file I will be loading from the under part. So now my things are ready. So in the pig, what I'll do, this is the pig prompt after the arrow mark. So these are the commands you have to start writing it. See, what you are doing is, first thing is I'm loading the pig employee pig1 file. Both are same structure in my case, but you could have different structures as well. But just to make things simple, let us deal with the simple things first. So copy the command. So you can't run it here if this command is not recognizable there. So don't do that again here. So that this command only works in the pig Latin command. This is the pig Latin command. What you're seeing here, pig Latin command. So let us go into pig shell here. So the syntax, if you look at it, what I'm doing is that load the file using pig storage. This is the important thing. Pig storage, and you're saying my file is in comma separated file, and these are my column names. So entirely you are defining the way the pig needs to load the file, right? If your file is in a comma in a pipe delimited, if your file is in different delimited file, then you have to mention the path. If your file is in JSON format, then you have to use a different storage here, JSON storage. So these things you have to keep changing it. There are a couple of storages pig is supporting it. I'll show that once after this, not at this time. The next class I'll show you the different storage mechanisms we have.
Madhu, could you make sure that this recording will be sent over to us?
Should be there. I'll ask the organizers. They would be recording it.
It is being recorded, but they don't send this stuff for whatever reason.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry about it. I'll ask them to do that.
Okay.
Okay. So now we have the first data set with us. But if you want to see how does pig load the file, you could do dump is the command and dump x. So now what pig is doing here, it is spinning up a MapReduce job. Dump is the command to display the content on the console. So pig is opening up a MapReduce job and then trying to process the file on the fly. Because we didn't store this the schema information anywhere. Pig doesn't have any repository, any meta store, right? So you see this is running now. Something is going on now. So you see some data. Please bear with me. In the local VM, it might take some time. Okay, so before it comes up, let me put the other statements here. So the second statement is a similar thing. I'm loading the second file into the dataset called Y. Now I would like to join the two datasets based on the designation column. This is the statement for it. Furthermore, I would like to process the output saying that only have the records where the candidate is a manager. That's what I'm doing it here. Filter Z by the X designation. This is the syntax you have to follow. X double colon. X is the dataset. To refer a column inside dataset, this syntax you must follow. X double colons and the column name matches to the keyword and then the value here. So now you have a final dataset here. So this you could dump into the file. You can even do further processing saying that on the same X I'm doing a different processing now. Group X by city, and then for each city you want to print the ID and designation of the candidates. And now you can see it now. You are unioning the X and Y here. Union again, it doesn't do any filtering. It just clubs the two datasets one after other. And we also co-grouping it. Co-grouping basically you are.
We are not able to hear Madhu.
Here.
Hello.
I'm not on mute. Hello.
Hello.
I can hear Madhu, Sharda.
Oh, you are not. You are able to. My voice. My screen is totally stuck in.
Oh, is it? Let me off the sharing and. Okay. Is it good now, Sharda?
Can you repeat? You were telling something here.
Okay.
Like
so
load.
Yeah. So this script basically doing a few very basic things. One is that I'm loading these two files into X and Y datasets. These are like raw datasets. And then on the X dataset, I'm joining the X dataset with the Y based on column designation. Okay, designation is there in both the datasets. Now I would like to filter the join dataset based upon the one value on the designation. So how do you refer a column inside a dataset? This is the way you have to refer it. X colon designation. So here one surprising thing you see it here. I have a Z dataset joined by X and Y. But look at the second statement here, the next statement here. In the Z dataset, I am still referring the old column with X. So our assumption should be that the moment I join the X and Y, the X and Y are no more. I have only Z. That is our assumption, because if you come from a stored procedure based scripting model, this is how it's going to be. The moment you join something, you lose the original dataset. You will have the current dataset now. But whereas in Peak, because it's a lazy loading framework, you can still refer to the old raw data in the refined dataset. That is the reason we're saying that filter Z by X colon designation. That matches to the manager keyword. and then you are grouping. This is the one set of activities. Second set of activities that you would like to group the X by city in the data set A. This is another activity. Third activity is that you would like to um, dump the ID and designation. Generate is the keyword. There is no such select statement in the pig. Generate is the keyword in the pig that will dump the required columns. For each X, you're saying that display the ID and designation. You have multiple columns here, but you would like to display only first two columns. This is one set of action. C. The third set of action is that you would like to union the X and Y data sets here. Same thing. It clubs the two data sets one after other. And co-grouping again based upon is joining two data sets and then unioning it basically. Joining with union. That's called co-grouping. I'll discuss this part one in the samples. And finally, you could choose to store the final output, the output where you got it here. So by the time you quit this pig scripting, all the temporary data sets will go away. Pig will release all the data sets from the memory, right? So this is a simple pig scripting depicting that what steps you can do. There are many things are involved in this. But in reality, most of the time you do either joining it and then you do some kind of filtering like this. Most of the times you don't need to really do, yeah, of course, these things only you'll be doing it. Very hardly you do unioning, very hardly you do co-grouping. Finally, at the end of it, you would be storing into some file. This
So
file you would be
SQL counterpart for co-group?
Co-group is again like it's a grouping only based on two columns. That is a counterpart, you can say.
Okay.
It's here the group by is on single column, on single set. Remember this grouping is there, and a single data set you are grouping it. The co-grouping basically you are taking two data sets here, X and Y, and then you are figuring out a column here. Co-group can take multiple data sets here. If you have X, Y, Z, and blah 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 here, it can take all the data sets and group it together. I think in SQL you don't have this kind of thing. You don't have. You only have this kind of model only. On a single output, you can do some grouping. But if you have multiple outputs and wanted to group them together at the same time, you can't do in SQL. Do you see any such thing in SQL? I don't see.
In group, like ascending order, descending order, or group by any column, you can do it.
That is there.
But
That is there. But can you take two queries together and two subqueries together? Let's say X is a subquery for me, Y is a subquery for me, and can you do co-grouping together? You can't do like that. You have to join these two subqueries and then only you get it grouping.
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Right?
That is not there.
So here X is a subquery, right? You have a partial data. Y is a partial data here. And you are the same time you are joining it. This is all possible in Pig because of parallelism, because of map reduce.
Yeah, I mean this is not possible again in same line. This has to be done by creating two different data sets, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
No, you mean in SQL?
No, I'm talking about in Pig. Even in Pig, where you created an X data set, you created Y data set, and then you're doing union, and then you created a co-group in another data set.
These are different steps. There is no relation between A, B, C doesn't have any relation. Do you see? Independent things.
You're defining X and Y in the first place, right? Without doing that, I don't know if you can co-group.
No, you need to have, right? See, you need to load data in memory first. Without that, you can't do.
In that case, how is it different from having two subqueries and then joining them? We're still doing that same thing.
Yeah, the reason is that what I'm saying is that if you have two subqueries in the query, can you group the? No, you can't do like that. Can you say? I don't think Subqueries are only to
You can join those two subqueries and call them in another query and then group them by group
yeah,
the.
that's what I mean. Yeah. But on the fly, as a raw data from the subquery, you can't group them, right?
No.
That's what you're doing it here. You have a raw data X, Y is the raw data. And then you are grouping on the fly.
So
And not just X and Y. If you have one more Z also, you can group it together.
okay, so any kind of aggregation going on here? Is that why we're grouping by this stuff?
No. I'm just narrating the features here.
Oh, okay.
Features here. A, B, C are independent steps here. X, Y, Z, Z is independent step. Z and these two are, you can say that they're correlated. A is independent step just to showcase the feature here, grouping feature.
Okay.
B is to showcase the select way of doing it, the way you do select operation in these queries. C just to join it, blindly joining it. D is a much refined joining. You are joining based on certain columns that is common across the two datasets or multiple datasets.
Okay.
This is just blind join. And this is to dump data into the destination directory. So let us go and see whether we have data. Yeah. So I said dump that data set. We have got the file because I load the X. So similarly, if I run the other commands, you will get to know. Let us do some math here. Y. So I didn't do anything. I didn't actually run the MapReduce job because of lazy loading. The moment I call dump or store, that time only whole processing chain will invoke. And then I say join X and Y by designation. I'll have Z. It's silent. Then have this one filter X and Y, filter Z based on X designation. Okay, you get these warnings because of the string conversions. You can ignore these things. Now I could store that or dump it. I don't need to store. Let me dump it. Dump Z. The dataset names are case sensitive. I can't say small Z here. I have to call capital Z here.
So now it will create Z.
Yeah. So what is going to happen now is that you have two datasets now, and you have joined it together, and you are again filtering it based on managers. So output should be you get only the manager designate data out of these two datasets. You get only manager designate data. So let us see what you're going to get. So it does much of the everything is a MapReduce job here. So if this is a very big file, you really appreciate that the power of the pig here. Pretty handy. In fact, in my 2 years back when I was working on the pig models, we tackled the files of 30 GB of each size, and then the columns are around 250 columns in each of the file. Means this thing. I mean to say this column, 250 columns. That itself is not a so big thing compared to pig. So when you run the query to join we have 1 year data. For each month we have 30 GB file.
Oh my.
So we have 12 such files are there. So we need to join these files, do some processing, and do some filtration based on the criteria. Let's say if say the payment type is XY, ignore the record. If my payment type is credit card, take that record, something like that. If that is the conditions I will apply all the conditions on the data sets. And finally, the whole processing should be was completing in 30 minutes. For one full year data process.
Oh wow.
30 minutes, typically, in a cluster of size of 7 nodes, 7 node cluster.
So typically, the query, your code will be, whatever you have in this notepad, right? All that stuff will be your code, and finally you'll say, final equal to whatever dump
Yeah,
into something.
either you store or dump, whichever way.
Okay,
Store
and then,
actually creates a file.
okay, and you can
Creates a file.
either write it out to a table also, right? In some database.
You could write.
And then
But table
all
writing
of this.
is not necessary for you. If you have if you store that into a file, this file very much can be queried through Pig, right?
No, I know, I get that, but depending on the requirement, if someone asks you to,
Yeah, you could do.
okay,
You could do that.
yeah,
So
that's
these two.
very flexible.
So the output what you got from these two operations are that we only need to see the manager designate data. That only you got it here. Oh, I have got another data analyst. Why I got this analyst here? Tester, analyst, manager. Something went wrong. Somewhere the query went wrong. But what I have given there, matches manager.
It is
Maybe
case sensitive, right?
it is case sensitive. Maybe because of that reason. Could have been. Oh, yeah, could be that. So we're only filtering based on the manager here. I'm filtering on X designation should be manager. So what is X here? X is this one. Manager. Only 2 managers I have. So I should be getting only 2 records here. Or not. So the IDs are 1001 and 1006. Rest of all I should ignore.
Yeah.
1001 I got it 2 times. 1004. What is it? 1006. 1006 also I should get 2 times. But why the 1004 has come? 5 has come.
Looks like the manager brought his whole team.
Yeah, maybe because of that join, something happened. So this has produced a Cartesian product. Looks like that. And then filter jet matches manager, or could be something. It has a meaning something manager. Then also it picks up. Could be something like that. 2004, any word manager like that? No.
1004, right?
1004 joined with 2004. This is correct. This is some odd matchings are there. 2001, 2006. Managers are there. Yeah, because jumbling happened in the joining, it have fetched it actually. 1001. So I'll look into it. Some jumbling happened in dataset.
Okay.
I'll segregate these things. I'll let you know. I'm not getting the point why it has picked up these two.
1001, 1002 and 1004 are not supposed to be there.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It shouldn't be there. Why it got? Because of 2002 record. So what is there in 2002? That is also not a. That doesn't have the manager. Why those are picked up? 1002, 1004. Even this also should not be there. some odd combination. I don't know why it is picking up. Let me go through some. I'll verify that why this joining is behaving erratically. Maybe you have to put one more filter condition here while joining it. Take only the left side, right side, that we can mention that. Okay, so the accuracy part I'll come to. I'll verify one more time. But this is the syntax, high level.
Yeah.
If you want to group it, group by these columns, and then this is the syntax. You have to go with this.
Okay.
Oh, but before that, I have one more thing, right? Okay, so you can run these things. I'll send this script to you. The accuracy part, I'll fix this issue. What is that?
Yeah,
Why it is
if you can send the recording, it'll be great.
I don't have recording, but I'll ask this team. Let me call them and tell them to share the link to you.
Yeah.
I'll definitely do today.
Okay.
So this is about the Hello World, the very basics of the pig programming, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So do you find any? So far, I think it all looks like a querying, right? You don't see much difference here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you see pig, the power of pig when you come down to the advanced pig topics here. Then you see that pig is pretty powerful, the way it deals with things. Especially when you are dealing with things like aggregating it and then refining it, pretty powerful it is. I'll touch upon these topics tomorrow.
Okay.
No, sorry, my apologies. Tomorrow I won't be available. I have to take a urgent. Have to go to other city to meet someone. The person is not well. I have to meet them. This thing came up suddenly. I didn't plan actually well before for it. So tomorrow I won't be there. Probably I might take one more day. Saturday also depends on the situation. I don't know, but I'll communicate to you. If we have a class on Saturday, I'll communicate. But can we meet on the next week? If I couldn't make it on these 2 days,
Sure.
because my uncle is seriously ill. I have to meet him.
So the next, Madhu, is the next class
Yeah,
on Monday?
Sunday
night for us.
Yeah, that would be
that
your
is
Monday.
Sunday night for us.
Okay.
Sunday night and Monday night. Which one?
Yeah, Sunday night for us. Yeah, Monday morning
Not
for
Sunday. I think these guys, the organizer doesn't come on my Monday morning.
Oh,
I think they have a holiday. They don't organize this meeting. I think the next class would be on my Tuesday morning, your Monday night.
Okay.
Okay. So these guys actually work from Tuesday to Saturday, my time.
okay. Then Madhu, send the detail like everything, like not only this recording and slideshow material, like pig and hive material to read for the interview or to understand the structure of those things.
Because we didn't get these recordings.
Those kind of material we don't have. At least we are just listening. We are understanding, but we are not refreshing ourselves, like reading everything. We have to attend interview means we have to do all reading.
Right.
We didn't get any kind of notes or anything for these things. From starting, we didn't get all those kind of material. Because we have holidays almost Thursday to Monday, so at least in this time also we can read at least one hour. Also, it gives we can finish it off.
You mean to say these materials you didn't get, or
not these material, not the slide material? We need the
recordings,
book recordings and book type of material. Any material for reading?
Books are there. You can purchase or there or download. I don't know how you're going to get. I mentioned that in the very beginning. If you want to see Yeah, just want to give you.
Oh, you
Insight.
don't have any particular material for reading?
Yeah, this is the one. And the very beginning itself I mentioned it. This is the book. If you are attending interviews, this is the book you have to follow. Tom White is the author. Maybe you can buy it from Amazon or where whichever is available.
Oh, but you don't have any material.
I don't have, apart from the slides and the samples I have, because this is not my book, right? So they'll
Oh,
sue me
okay.
if I start sharing if I start sharing anything. I don't have the book. I don't have only. I have the printed version only. Printed
Yeah,
version of the book.
you are telling us like starting version. You are not telling 2.2, 2.06, I think so. The basic version of the Hadoop, or you are teaching us 2.6 version?
No, still now we're talking about 1.0. We didn't
Yeah,
come to the
that's what I'm asking
2.0.
because the basic version is only we are talking.
Yeah. So till now we're talking about the 1.0.
Okay.
So what I'm going to cover at the end is that since Rajiv and Raj asked it, I have some material on the certification part. This I can share
Okay.
with you.
Okay.
So this
Okay.
may be helpful in if you are focusing on certification, they will help you. But these
Oh,
things are
it's
not.
only for developer. You don't have any certification. This thing for admin.
No, I don't have. I
Okay.
don't. Developer certification material I have, I can share with you.
Oh,
And what else I can do? I can give extensive samples on this, so you can work on it. So one more thing I would like to emphasize on you: don't really worry about the books. My take is that if you follow the material and once you are done with this understanding,
mm,
directly you can jump onto the this thing Apache. Let's say if you are keen on Apache, what you do? Apache Hive. No need to go tutorial. Let us just say Apache Hive. Go to the Apache, the original website here. So what? How do you want to get? See, this is the getting started guide is there, right? So most of the time you need to have some background. So these classes will give you background, right? So this is what you have to do: DML operation, DDL operations. So just open the DML operations here.
okay.
Everything is. Oh, sorry. Did
Error
I hit
logs.
high? Sorry, I hit high. Okay, whatever it is. So much of the commands are there here. So they given examples and they also point you to, they don't give data set, but they give examples. So all the examples are given there. You could follow these things, right?
Oh,
Maybe for
these are
me, I can't
SQL operations in Hive.
Hive, right? Yeah, in case of Hive. So the difficulty I will have is that I may not be able to, even for Pika also, I can't be talking about full length and breadth. As I'm telling you, each one is a very big ecosystem. Each one takes 1 week on its own. But in the class, we're covering almost 8 ecosystem components. So we can't cover everything in the full length and breadth. But I'm focusing more on Hive and Peak because that you need to have. You must need to understand. At least given an opportunity, you should be able to work on it. So I'm taking you to the level of you being familiar with these semantics and then try some hands-ons. So if required, if you want to know more about it, then these are the avenues you can get more out of it. Right? Are you getting the point here?
Okay.
Right? So let us say alt table is there. I can't make you to do all these things on the class, but I can tell you alt table exists actually. You can do things. And you can have many combinations exist, but again alt table again have some limitations on the table structures. In certain versions it doesn't work. The one we are using now, it doesn't support alt table. We
Yeah,
didn't
because we are using 1.5. So then
yeah,
now it is like 2.6, I think so.
2.6 for the Hadoop.
Yeah.
So that doesn't mean Hive is compatible in the everywhere. Only in Hive 14 only we have the all the table commands. In
Okay, so
this
how can
version,
we know? Like
no,
we have to know the
just one
difference
clarify.
between these versions also.
No, one clarification, Sarda. This version is 2.6 only, the Hadoop version. This is the
Okay.
latest version only.
Okay.
But in this Hadoop, Hive is not latest. Hive is a version 12. So,
Okay.
these are also what is going to happen in the industry is that Hive, Pig, other ecosystem, they are also parallelly maturing. They also keep incrementing on their versions. So not that everything you will have same thing. That is a big gap in the Hadoop ecosystems.
Okay.
So
But we have
the
to
moment
know the difference. What is the upgrades in the versions?
not required.
Because in the
That's what I'm
interview
saying.
they might have asked.
No. That's the point I want to bring it. In the typical interviews, they'll ask you, are you acquainted with the Hive basics and Hive concepts, and can you do some hands-on? They don't expect you to up to date in the Hive. How can they expect? Because these
Okay.
things keep on evolving it at rapid pace. Every month there's a release. No one can expect you to be on top, right?
Okay. They'll ask on the architecture of the Hive basic.
Exactly. They ask you the architecture and basic things. Do you know about internal tables? Do you know about external tables? Where to use what?
Okay.
Do you know how to join tables? Do you know how to control the mapper task? Do you know control the reducer task in the Hive queries? These doesn't change with the version to version. These are fundamentals, right?
Okay.
That's same thing applies to even if you're attending interview in Java or .NET or any other language. No one can expect you to be on top till the time, right? They ask you the fundamentals,
Okay.
right? So same thing I would like to emphasize more here. If I talk about, say, in the very beginning of Hive Disk, we talk about Hive 14 has alter commands, has this parallelism, degree of parallelism control, you will be lost in my discussion. You will not get to know what I'm talking about, right? First thing you should have a solid ground to understand these things. Then, depending upon your choice, you can dwell more into these areas. That's the thing I want to share with you, right?
Oh,
For
like
example,
in other SQL also, here also, like Hive you have DDL, DML operations.
yeah. It is
Oh,
warehousing framework, right?
okay. So
But let us
here
say
also
streaming
same
is,
thing.
if you could ask me a streaming, this is a very complex thing. I didn't discuss the streaming part in Hive. I will not be discussing it. This is the streaming part. I don't think none of the organizations are using it. Only a few cases, only people use the streaming.
Streaming
So if you
means
start
like updating the data continuously.
no, not like that.
Okay.
Not like that. Streaming is basically, you are capturing the data real time,
Okay.
and you want to query it on the real time. You might not be updating there.
Oh, okay. Yeah, continuous float of current data.
Yeah. So you have to understand the streaming inputs, the streaming outputs. So these things I'm not touching upon in the regular class, because the objective in the course is that we are covering the essential things you to get started on these things, right? So if you look at the things, each one is an ocean. If you look at the Hive, Pig, even MapReduce also, I didn't cover everything in the MapReduce, right? I touched upon how to set up your environment first, how to get things done in this. I've given three kinds of input splitting largely, but that's not the end of MapReduce, right? MapReduce is a big ocean. Entire Google search engine is working on the page ranking algorithm that's underneath this MapReduce framework only. That level of complexity also one can build it. So that you can't expect in a short term, like in each topic we're discussing in 3-4 days. So we're covering upon the basics, and I'll be providing the essential things to get you the hands-on that area, right?
Oh.
Even if you are attending interview, no one will expect you that
Is
you
that
are.
enough? Like whatever you are teaching, you are giving knowledge. Is that enough for real time?
I think so. I think so, because that's what I'm saying in the industry. See, what is going to happen in the typical interviews are that they don't expect you to master everything there. They expect you at least you should be master of at least one. either MapReduce or Hive or Pig, at least one.
Okay.
That's the reason I'm saying all the time, focus more on this Pig and Hive all the time. You should have good understanding about these two. Provided given the opportunity, you should able to get through in the documentation and read more about it and do answer
Okay.
more
When you
about
go for the certification, we have to write different like MapReduce certification or like that, or we have to write only Hadoop certification.
Hadoop certification. Even
Oh,
the certification, Cloud certification, this only talks about MapReduce. It doesn't talk about Hive and Pig. I don't know. I didn't see any certification exists for Hive and Pig.
okay.
Certification exists on two aspects only, either the MapReduce developer or for the Hadoop administrator.
Okay.
See, that
Okay.
is the
When
thing.
with this course we can write Hadoop administrator certification.
Administration you can't do. Administration is a big thing. Administration involves much of the IT knowledge rather than the framework knowledge.
Okay.
See, the discussion we have on the framework knowledge. We're talking about stacks here, right? What's HDFS stack? What is MapReduce stack? This is about the architectural stack. This is not the
Okay.
IT stack. I didn't tell you what is the real hardware for the HDFS. I didn't tell you what is the real hardware required for the MapReduce. How do you connect to the LAN? How do you open the ports? What security you impose on the ports? We
Okay.
discussed
Those all are comes for the admin.
exactly.
Okay.
Right? So that's big. That's the reason I'm in the beginning I was telling you. Administration itself is a very big topic. As such,
Okay.
Hadoop itself is a very big topic because if you look at the content here, we are going to discuss many things in a 1 month course, right? You are realizing that the landscape of this thing. We are talking about how many concepts here. For that to begin with, HDFS itself is a big concept, then MapReduce, and then we're covering up on the HBase, Hive and Pig, and then we're covering up on the scoop, the next evaluatory path. This is a very interesting and a lot of things have changed in the Hadoop and the integrations part. And then finally we're covering about Flume, Hue. So name it, how many you got it now? 8 at least, right? New things you're going to learn. Each one has their own syntax. Remember that.
Okay.
So that is the landscape trying to address it in a 1 month course. So that's the reason I'm saying that you don't need to master everything here. But if you get the point, essence of the Hive and Pig, you could confidently say that you are good at Hadoop,
Okay.
right? Of course, each time when we discuss about Pig and Hive, we'll be touching upon the MapReduce, so that discussion always be revisited.
Yeah, because
Rajiv,
it works on the high MapReduce.
MapReduce, yeah. Rajiv, Raj, are you getting the point? What I'm trying to achieve in this course, right? So you are trying to learn 8 new frameworks, and each one has their own style, right?
Okay.
So typically, if you take 16 or 18 classes in a month duration course, leaving aside the weekends, 20 days and 20 classes. So 20 classes you're trying to learn 8. So typically, hardly you're spending 2.5 days on a new thing, right? That includes the theoretical discussion and the hands-on. That just can't possible, right?
Okay.
So that's the reason I'm spending much time on the Hive and Pig. You need to have it. Okay. So let's look at the Pig. Let's see if you want to understand the Pig. Don't go to anywhere. Just go into the Apache websites, and this is the authentic source. Initially, you might find it difficult in navigating through this one, but this is I only recommend this to you to get to this Apache sites only. And everywhere you see getting started link, just get into it and start doing things. Documentation here. So if you want older versions, change just the version here, you'll get to know. See control statements here, built-in functions here, user-defined functions here, the efficiency, administration, basics here. See the one I'm discussing about it. All the operators. So there are so many operators. I didn't discuss everything. I just discussed about group, for each filter, and join, inner outer joins. And use store command, we discussed it. Dump, we discussed it. Somewhere dump will be there. Dump comes in other.
So we have to practice all these things.
That's what I'm saying. You can't do it. Take my word. Even if you give it 2 months time, you can't complete everything.
Okay.
That's the reason I'm saying it. I just want to compile it, the essential things, you to get started. Right? You look at the landscape there.
Yeah.
Even if you take 1 month, you can't really get to the bottom of it. So many keywords are there, so many combinations are there, you can't do it. Just you can't do it. I get in the point what I'm trying to address. It's not a question about covering or not covering the content.
It's
The
like
content is so,
trying to learn SQL. I mean, there are so many functions, you can't learn everything.
yeah. So what essentially you have to learn is that you should know that these exist, but you should know some basics here, how to get start things. Right?
Okay.
That's the
You have
point
to
I would
know
like.
how to write the SQL with these.
Exactly. So if somebody asks you to work on pig, you should be floating your eyes, right? You should be able to know that, yeah, I know these things, I know this programming model. Just basic things are get the data sets here and then the joining. These are very basic things. Now you need to do specific filtering operation that is not possible here. Then go back to literature here. Then you see the different filtration here. Filter. In the filter there are so many varieties, you see it here. See the varieties you see, not conditions, the expressive way of doing filtering here. So these things will come to know at once you start doing hands-on, right? Are you getting the point here?
Yeah.
Why I'm emphasizing on taking only on certain things. I'm not really focusing on many other things because we are covering 8 topics in a span of 20 working days. Okay. Hope I conveyed the message to you. Okay, so don't worry. Once you cover up the content, right, and you start doing things. That's what I'm saying. Start practicing these small things I'm sending it to you. Then you get a confidence, and then depending upon your choice, you can further. You could have a lot of questions in these things. We can discuss these things. Okay, so I need to jump on to other activity. We'll meet on. We'll meet on my Tuesday morning.
Your Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, I think your Monday first night, I think.
Okay.
I'll send these samples right away, this material as well.
Sure.
Initially, don't look at any other thing because now you'll be confused. You look at the content, so vast, right? How can you get the content and everything in 1 week? Just this is the concise version of the pig, right? Only the essential things only I kept it here. You to understand it simply. So just go through it and run the samples, get some familiarity, then you can jump onto the broad sections.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. I'll meet on Monday night your time. Thank you.
Okay then. Good night.